Hello, friends. It is Saturday morning. I have my first cup of coffee in front of me. And if I sound a little bit rough, it's because I feel a little bit rough because allergies are a bitch. And I haven't had my cup of coffee yet. Maybe if I can get you a little bit closer. This has turned into an ASMR channel. So it's Saturday morning, and this is my second week recording, my Saturday morning coffee. And I would love to say that I spent the week collecting all of these ideas that I have for what I want to talk about. And I feel like I did at the beginning of the week. But then I had a slight meltdown a few days ago. And I don't remember pretty much anything that I came up with before that. Which is unsurprising to me because I have issues with memory loss. It is an unfortunate and incredibly frustrating part of my bipolar disorder that around any depressions or hypomanias, I lose time. So I'm very sure that there were things at the beginning of the week that I was like, man, this is something I want to talk about. This would be great. That I no longer remember. And that little meltdown was about honestly, it was one of those days where I hate my disorder so much. And we can talk as much as we want about accepting yourself as you are and not judging yourself for having a disorder or for being on medication. But there are days where you just hate it. And that's okay. The fact that it's okay doesn't make those days any easier, but it is okay. I ended up on the floor crying because while I don't have breaks with reality, I know my physical environment, I know the people around me. With things like bipolar disorder, I don't always know if the things that feel important to me and feel necessary to me really are. And that's so far beyond frustrating. Because I don't always know what the reality of that is. I don't know the reality of my emotions, and I don't know the reality of my perceptions. And to be clear here, in my diagnosis, it's been made clear that I am not at risk for a psychotic break or for hallucinations or anything like that. It's just the reality of my brain and my mind. One of the resulting conversations I had from that with my partner, because he is a wonderful human being who lets me talk through things, no matter how many times I've done it before, and no matter how obvious it may seem to him, he lets me talk through things. And I actually did make a note about this. I have a notebook where I'm keeping ideas. And the note just says, the fear of not doing enough, or no, that's the wrong one. Comparing yourself to someone you imagine you could be. I don't remember if it was the same night that I was crying, but I have had a very hard time coming to terms with the idea that I am not able to work as much as I think other people can. I have a cap at my job of 30 hours a week. And I have yet to ever hit that cap. And I feel guilty. A lot. Sometimes because I feel like I should be contributing more to our financial stability, even though I am contributing more than I have ever been able to in our relationship. Or I feel guilty because I don't know. It's really easy for you to come up with ways to feel guilty. We're all really good at that. But I was talking to my husband about it, and I said something along the lines of, I'm not doing enough. And he said, compared to what? And I was like, well, if I wasn't bipolar, if I didn't have this disorder, if I didn't have my chronic pain, if I didn't have these things, I could do so much more. And he asked me why I thought that. And I just kept going in these circles about like, well, if I didn't have, this unpredictable thing going on, if I knew that I wasn't going to be in debilitating pain day to day, if I wasn't dealing with ups and downs of, psychological, chemical, whatever, then I would be able to do more. And he told me that I was comparing myself to someone who doesn't exist. And that if I kept doing that, I was always going to find myself wanting. Those are my words. I can't remember his exact words. He was more eloquent about it than I was, but that was the gist of it. And I think that's true for a lot of people. And we can blame it on social media and the internet. And, I talked last week about this pressure to be polished and perfect. But I think a lot of us have this idea in our heads of, I'm not doing enough because if I wasn't blank, or if I didn't have blank, or if some perceived limitation was removed, I could be so much better. I'm starting to kind of hate that word, better. At least in these contexts. Better than what? Better than who? We talk about it a lot in terms of like Instagram filters and people creating these Instagram-worthy pictures of their lives. We talk about with YouTube too, but I think it goes a lot further than that. And I don't know if this is just me, being neurodivergent. I don't think it entirely is. I think it might be stronger with the neurodivergent community. Honestly, I can see it being a thing in the queer community too, especially with people like me who are bisexual or pansexual who often, don't feel gay enough for the gay community and not straight enough for the straight community and all these things. If we were more something or if we were less something, then we would be a better queer. Oh, there's that word again. Better. Better than what? Reality is so subjective, and that is a really, that's been such a frustrating thing to come to terms with, because I've had to. Like I said, I don't always know the reality of my perception and of my emotions and of my thoughts, and looking back, I did not know what reality was. And that is so weird. It's so weird that I can have been in the same situation as someone else and have been so sure about the importance of something, or like, it's so weird. Oh, God. You know, people get really awkward when you start laughing about things like that. I was talking with a friend recently, and I asked them, like, oh, you know, what made you stop working in theaters, the industry that we met in? And they went, well, I had a brain aneurysm, or I had a stroke. That's what it was. I had a stroke and then I had brain surgery, and I was like, what? And they went, yeah, there's no, like, easy way to bring that up in conversation. And it made me think of, like, when people are like, oh, you know, you seem like you're doing better. You seem like you're doing really well. You know, how's it going? Like, what's been going on? I'm like, oh my God, I got on this new cocktail of medications and it's helping so much. And then they just kind of freeze and they're like, yay. And I've had so many examples of this. Like, talking with someone who also experiences chronic pain and chronic illness, and we're laughing. And we're comparing notes. And then my partner is in the room. He's just shaking his head. He's like, I don't understand how the two of you can find this funny. And you just do. There's a point at which you just find it funny. And that, honestly, is kind of freeing. Like, there's a point at which it feels so ridiculous that you have to laugh. Because it's so absurd. Like, that's the best way I can put it, is it feels so absurd. I don't even know where I got on this tangent. And this is one of the risks I run by doing this before or like during my first cup of coffee. Oh God, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, this is welcome to me. Yeah. So I think there is this tendency to think that if I didn't have something, or if I didn't do this thing, or if I didn't whatever, I could do so much more. I would be a better person. I would do blah, 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 blah. So I have a question. It's something you don't have to answer me in the comments, but I would love for you to think about it. What do you do really well because of who you are? What do you understand better than a lot of people? Or what are you good at because of who you are? Not something that you'd be better at if you didn't have XYZ, or something that you would be better at if whatever, but something that you know you're good at just because of who you are. For me, it's connecting people and understanding people. I've done a lot of introspection, and I've spent a long time getting to know my mind and myself, and I'm still learning, but even before I started therapy or had symptoms show up, I have always had a talent for connecting people. And as I've gotten older, I have seen that grow. And that's just something about me that I feel really good about. I love being able to connect people and being able to connect with people. Hell, it's one of the reasons I'm doing this right now. So I know that because of who I am good at connecting with people. And I am good at connecting people to each other. And that is not something I have to worry about being better at. So you can leave it in the comments, or you can just think about it. But I would love for you to think about that for yourself. I think I've run out of things to say. and I definitely need to drink more of this coffee. So I'm going to end it there for today. Thank you for spending the morning with me. See you next week.